Ghost Hunt at Hagood Mill in Pickens, South Carolina, June 14, 2025. Tickets are $25 and are sold on Eventbrite and in person at the Dark, Strange and Mysterious Market in Easley, SC on June 13th and 14th. Special guests for the Ghost Hunt is Brandon Cooper and Blaine Rohan. Hagood Mill is known for its rich history and mysterious activity. Can you see spirits? Can ghosts talk to you? Find out. Ghost Hunt, June 14, 2025. Tickets cost $25. We will gather at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and do a history haunting tour until midnight.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
What's happening?
Hey.
Boy, have we
Good.
got
Hey, I love the
tonight.
new intro. That music's so super creepy cool.
Well,
I
we got
revamped
a
it.
real creeper.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. And we've got a real creeper tonight. Oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah. Told you I'd get you a good one.
This dude, yeah, this guy is so creepy, so spooky and demented that he actually looked up to Ted Bundy and
Oh,
Richard Ramirez.
Yeah.
He wanted to do worse than
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
What kind of thinking is that?
messed up.
Well,
He's got a real comparison to
What I want to
Ramirez.
know is what. All right, there's like 2 or 3 in the years college. Yeah, and they use a lot of the same. Both of them. A lot of them are killing at college campuses, killing co-eds. It's like, what the hell is it like? They're singing rah rah rah, sis boom bah, stab him in the arm, you stab him in the bra. Good God!
oh, we got our hashtag right off the bat. Hashtag stab him in the bra.
Stab him in
Oh,
the bra.
wow.
Stacia, hey girl, hey.
She is.
There she
Thanks,
is.
I get to interview her soon, and I'm so excited. I'm sorry,
Well,
I had to
that's-
throw it in.
Just so you
Had to
guys
do it.
know, that is my twin sister. We've known each other for lifetimes, and just that spiritual soulmate there. So good.
Well, I will say that somehow she and I are connected because we've had instances where we were feeling each
Yeah.
other's
Yeah.
spirit walk, and it shocked me.
Mm-hmm.
It really shocked me. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to meet her, Stacia. I'm gonna come to Connecticut, ready to see
Yeah.
you and get a big old hug.
She's not your typical
Oh,
she's not your
definitely.
typical shaman. She's Mofar. So the
Okay,
Carpathian
okay.
Mountains. So the originals. So it's just a totally different kind of magic and energy, which yeah, I'm
I
gonna be
can't wait.
excited for all you to meet her. So yeah,
Right on.
yeah. But just so you know, speaking of Connecticut
I
Paracon,
can't
I know
wait to meet
we've
everybody,
been
man. It's
showing
gonna
all
be
this
fun.
stuff,
Because
but
new
we did
adventure, new
add,
place we have.
yeah, yeah, we did add a few people since we did
Yes.
that little commercial.
That's the last one I have, so that's
yeah.
what I ran.
I know, and we added Kara Phillip from Into
Mhm.
the Obscure on Paraflix and all that, and she's doing some shows too. And Patty Griffin, who's a psychic medium from our area, pretty much all up and down the East Coast. She sells out galleries everywhere. So she actually lives in Waterbury, where we're having the
Oh,
event. So we
wow.
had to make sure we had her. And also, the Godfather himself, Johnny Zaffis, will be there.
I can't wait. I got to get a big, big hug from him.
Yeah, he's only going to be there Saturday, but then he's going to be the headliner for our added event, the Ghost Hunt.
Johnny.
Yeah, it'll be the Ghost Hunt on Saturday night. It's a mystery location. We don't want to say too much because we just want to make sure when we email out everybody that only the people that are going to be part of it or get tickets are the only ones there. We don't have people standing outside.
Well, something
So,
messing
which
with
has
us
happened
tonight,
before in the
signal
past.
wise.
Yeah, there you go. So
I keep watching everybody float in and out.
I
It's
know.
you, Blaine. It's actually your screen. Do you want to go out and come back in to see if it helps?
No,
for you?
I'm watching all of us do it. You've went out 4 times. So no, it's not just me. Mom was the last one to go out. You 4 kept going out the whole time. I stayed.
Okay.
Well, we've got solar flares.
There's something messing with our signal tonight.
Are you sure we're not all scrying right
I
now
didn't know
and
that.
creating all that weird stuff?
No, not yet. Not today. Not yet.
Oh yeah.
I'm watching on my phone so I can see
Anybody else? If they're up in this area or want to fly out, whatever they want to do. Yeah, Butch Patrick will be there too. Eddie Munster. So we got quite a list of people. Yeah, you could see underneath me. I got www.paracon.org. You can check out all the guests. So that'll be fun. We'll love to see you guys.
Yeah.
Keep going online, buying tickets. Email Connecticut paracon@gmail.com to get your reservation. Emails will be going back out to answer you. So, okay. It's me. Probably. She puts that kind of energy out. So,
yeah, Lee, we got to get Zappis to do his Southern Gentleman for a promo for us. Y'all will crack up. So good. We did a 2-hour show with John doing that. Nobody knew it was John but me and John. I had people just dying.
Yeah.
Laughing after the end of it. We finally it was Zappis.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was fun. We all got to hang out in Ohio, and later on after the event, we were just hanging out at the Airbnb, and John came by, and we just had a great talk and hung out, and so that was a fun weekend just to catch up and for all those years. But that's always fun. I can't wait for everybody to meet him that hasn't met him yet.
There we go. Hopefully the banner will.
Oh yeah, John's awesome. Yeah, if you've never met Zappis, he perceives himself. He's such a nice gentleman, and he's so kind and so cool. And he doesn't let this ego thing go to his head. John's just John. And John's always going to be just John.
And he's no nonsense too. He'll tell you the way it is. He has no problem with that, and that's what I love about him. So
I do too. It's like, tell the truth, John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's always a big thing.
Awesome.
Speaking of him being a gentleman, but who we're talking about tonight was definitely put into a situation where he wasn't a gentleman whatsoever. Never. So yeah, it's a big one, and just so people really listen to what we're saying tonight. This guy put so much fear into the people in Florida that there was a screenwriter that actually loosely based the story of Danny Rawling, who we're going to be talking about, the Scream series the slasher series Scream with Ghostface. That was all because of Danny Rawling. So if you don't like the movie, blame it on Danny. If you love the movie, then blame it on Danny. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Amazing that, that type of thing. You didn't think you could create more fear than Bundy did back in the day in that Florida area. with the co-eds and that. But
Yeah,
University of
Yeah,
Florida.
the scary part, they're only like 100. They're only like 150 miles apart from Tallahassee to Gainesville.
Yeah.
So you had Bundy over there at the Chi Omega house, and you had Danny Rollins over there at the University of Florida area, just terrorizing people. How many? What was his body count that they confirmed?
Well, the school, I think it was five at the school. And then he was traced back to another one in Louisiana, Shreveport, where he grew up, for another 3 there. So,
yeah,
so that was a total of 8. So, yeah.
And
there could have been more. We don't know, but
that they
he doesn't
know.
seem like a pretty open guy to really tell you what he did.
Right. No joke. He seems the kind that would,
Hey, can I show a picture of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Before we
ahead.
start?
Yeah.
All right, this is the creep we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Party's over.
Yep.
Look at them beady ass eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You can always tell. You really tell, but really,
You know, I can feel the spirit of religion on him.
Yeah.
Looking at him, and I know that sounds weird, but it's the shape of a snake, and
Yes.
it's meant to silence. It's meant to silence and to control, and that's actually where he came from in all of this. Let me pop up the first slide since we're there. Okay. All right. So he was a cop and a Korean War veteran.
That was his dad.
Okay.
His dad was.
Oh, okay. So born to James Harold Rowling, a police officer and Korean War veteran, and Claudia. Okay, got it. Rowling's upbringing was marred by severe abuse from his father, who was physically and emotionally violent towards his family. I left the references there. Please go there and look it up for yourself. This is a summary. I do not own this information. Okay. In 1972, he went in the Air Force, but was discharged because of drugs. Okay. And then he married Mather Halco, and the couple had a daughter before they divorced. And then he committed his first murder, and it's a triple homicide. He killed a 55-year-old William Grissom, 24-year-old Julie, and his 8-year-old grandson, Sean.
Yep.
So 3. All right. And then here we go. After that, he went on a killing spree, and he killed college students. He murdered Sonia Larson. She was 18. Christina Poole, 17. In their apartment, he killed Krista Hoyt, 18, decapitating her and posing her body.
Yep.
And then he murdered Tracy Pauls and Manuel
Taboda.
In the apartment.
Taboda.
Thank you. And then his MO included breaking into apartments, raping, murdering, and mutilating, often posing their bodies in disturbing positions.
Yep.
So there's our dream guy. This mofo.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a honky mofo right there, boy. Whew.
But the thing that's worse than that is I'm going to give you the key word of tonight.
Here we go.
Generational trauma.
Give
That
us
is
his
the key word
generational
for
trauma.
this guy, because his dad, just so we know before we go into it, his dad witnessed his father slicing the throat of his mother. So there's always this abuse that comes, the alcoholics, the drug abuse, the suicides in the family, the murders and things like that all follow this family. And the thing is when Danny was born, he was the firstborn to, James and Claudia. James being a police officer, he didn't want children. And he made his wife and his son not forget.
Wow.
This poor kid, like if they breathed wrong and he didn't like the way they were breathing, he beat the crap out of them. All right. He went out and mowed the grass. Didn't like the way he mowed it. Beat the crap out of him. Anything you could think of. Didn't like the way he was chewing his food. Didn't this, that, anything. This kid couldn't do anything right. And this is where it stems. When you grow up that way mentally, you can't do anything right. The only way you have control is being away from it.
Yeah.
But this is the problem. His mother would take them away for a little while and felt that marriage was important and would go back to him. And I think
Oh.
Danny, no matter he hated his dad, but I think he really hated his mom because she didn't stay away after he begged her not to go back. You know, he did have another brother, and that's where more of the abuse started, more towards Danny when his, I think his brother's name was Steven or something like that. But it happened more, but you really think about the mentality. You get your ass beat, you know, just by trying to do regular things to be helpful, and they just don't, oh, you didn't cut this right, so I'm just going to beat the tar out of you. How do you think you're going to be raised? I really blame the murders on that generational trauma and nobody taking the fact, like I say, to break that line, to just say, not do it. But, you know, a lot of this, he was, because of his father and because his mother didn't stand up, and that's where a lot of the trauma comes in. So, yeah, as he was growing up, you know, he did things that kids did, you know, little petty crimes, peek in the window of his neighbors, and the dad would find out, beat the crap out of him. So this started that cycle. So you know where it's going to lead to.
He was told he was never wanted. In fact, his father told his mother repeatedly, the both of them, I never wanted a son. I have no use for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was a very religious woman and used that as her crooks to say, oh, I can't leave him. You know, this is my husband and we've got to forgive him. And just that type of crushing trauma. And then again, we also have to look at epigenetics.
Yeah.
Because epigenetics is where we actually gain some of the knowledge, trauma, and even intelligence from our ancestors. And by doing that, all the stuff that his father suffered through that made him the monster he was, and the passive nature of the mother.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. His dad showed signs of stuff because he was a Korean veteran and he was a police officer. So he saw a lot of nasty shit going on. His dad did. Yeah. And being a veteran of a war, you see some stuff that nobody should ever see, ever.
I know.
And that stays with you. And it gets to a point, though, like you said, he didn't want children, but he wanted a wife. That's weird. I mean, usually, maybe
he wanted somebody to be dominant over or something.
Maybe. Well, it is, but that's where a lot of those people that are like that, abusive, they want dominance because they didn't have dominance growing up. That generation keeps going. And that's what happened, I think, with Rawlings. But a lot of his stuff, when your father's like that and your mother's passive like that, there's that anger for both of them. The mom not stepping in and doing what she should have done and kept them away and never went back. You know, who knows what Danny Rawlings' life would be like. Yeah, he was abused for those few years before she took him away the first time. But we don't know where that's going to lead. And then him starting to peer into women's, you know, bedrooms and feeling like, you know, inferior, that he had to do stuff like that because he was afraid of rejection because he couldn't do anything right according to his father. So that's the way he's going to grow up.
Just like Ed Kemper.
Yeah.
You know?
The mom wasn't there to protect him. So this is where you draw his victims.
She and her religion is to blame for him not being set free.
And he tried after the military, he tried to find religion. He got married, had a daughter, but the religion thing didn't work for him either. But you got to look at the fact of all the women that he killed at that college had the same type of hair and height as his mother.
That's what I was about to say. He did it. Everyone he killed was his mother.
Yeah. And the other thing was when he killed them, and it says that he posed them. You know what that was?
That was either an ego thing for him, or it was his little way to show the police, hey, this is what I can do. Here's a message for you.
Well, guess who was a police officer? In your face, Dad. This is my work. I don't need your permission. I have power over you when I do this, over what you did to me.
Exactly.
And he posed them. So when the police walk in the room and see this, and it makes them jump back, it's like he always wanted to do. He always wanted to tell his dad, you know, what he could do with doing all that. But you got to realize something, that it finally came to a head. You know, he finally tried to take his power back. He actually shot his dad multiple times in the face.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez.
And you would think the dad died. No, the dad survived. But because of this, Danny Rawling stole some information from a house that he robbed, changed his name, and moved to Florida. He was actually going by Michael Kennedy to escape what he knew he was going to go to jail for, you know, trying to kill his dad. You know, for a while there, I think he thought his dad was dead, but then found out he wasn't. So isn't that a shot in the arm? You try and kill your abuser, and he somehow lives.
No, he's still your tormentor.
Yeah. So the tormentor didn't go away for him.
Holy shit.
And I think with that, and at the time he, you know, divorced, had a kid. And I think that's, again, remember we talk about that thing. He already had all these problems doing little things, but the big thing clicked. And that's when he started really, you know, killing people. He killed the people in Louisiana, but nobody knew who did that. All right. So if you go and then he goes to kill the students, but then the way the MO was showing, it made sense to Louisiana, and that's how they tracked him. That's how they finally caught him, because both, you know, we talk about the BSU having that unit where they go to all the different states. If the MO is similar, they could mix them. But in this case, there was a woman that remembered him. He was living with her and her husband for a little bit, and they kicked him out of the house after he said, I like to put knives into people.
Oh, awesome.
And she remembered that, and then she saw that case and what they said, and then that, and she says, I think it's this guy, and turned his name in, and they found the DNA that matched at the scene and all that. So that's kind of how they caught him. So, which is amazing. But that woman remembered. That's the thing, you guys. You know, we're talking about how to keep people safe and all that. If anybody says anything weird, it's about remembering it and then seeing something happen and knowing that, hey, we could stop this further. If I turn this guy in now, he won't kill anybody else. So that's kind of what happened with that.
Yeah.
Because a couple other people went to jail for it. There's one guy who was in prison for 5 months until this was all figured out. Just because he had psychological problems. He was going to University of Florida, so they assumed he was part of it because of, you know, a mental disorder he had. So it's again, you know, you want to get help for your mental disorder, but then somebody's going to find out and say you're probably most likely the person and go to prison for 5 years just because you're trying to heal from something, which is crazy for me too to hear that. So, yeah.
God, I could be such a smart ass right now with Florida, but I won't do it.
Yeah, well, hey, I live there. I retired from that state, and yeah, I could tell you a few stories, but I won't.
Yeah, you always get the Florida man stories, man. Always.
Yeah, it seems like every weird crime that you see is always in
Florida
Florida.
man. Florida man. Florida man did this. Florida man did that.
There's some guys that look like Beavis and Butthead committing.
Yes, he's right.
Yeah.
Let me throw these two out here for you real quick. These little slides. See if there's something interesting on there for y'all. All right. So the cultural impact. People were so afraid of him. I think you've already said this, but the movie Scream was actually inspired by him. His killing spree inspired writer Kevin Williamson to create the Scream film. And if you remember, there's people in their apartment, and then somebody's coming in and stalking them and scaring them and finally catching up to him. Yeah. So and then there's also been episodes on true crime and A&E and things like that. And this one's pretty interesting. Okay, you were asking about the victims, and I like to give them. Let me stop this banner so you can see all of it. So in Shreveport, Louisiana, we have a triple homicide with the Grissom family. And it also shows here that Julie was murdered and posed in a ritualistic way, similar to the Gainesville victims. Okay, so this was after Gainesville. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people he killed. So 5.
That's 6, another way to look at it, 8, that 9, him 10, posing
11
the women, posing the women that looked like his mom. really thinking about it, it hits me as I think about it. Hosing him like that, making him look like, Mom, look what you made me do. You didn't take me out of that situation. So, that's another way to look at it. We don't really know because, Danny Rawling was executed in the state of Florida, Florida State Prison by lethal injection. We won't really know that side of it. But really, when you follow the pattern and you follow his life and all that, and what we've seen over the years, similar to other serial killers and their motivations. But yeah, the violence, the control that he never had growing up, it was always taken from him. He feel the need, the blaming of his mother, hence the type of victim and all that. And really, I think a lot of it stems with his mom on that aspect, because I think he felt the relief of shooting his father, even though his father lived. But I think it's the same thing with Kemper when he was finally able to cut his mother's head off and throw her vocal cords into the disposal. It calmed him. It's almost like there's some psychological things where people are that so much anger and they can't rectify it at the moment. There are people that cut themselves to help themselves feel better. But in this case, this guy's killing people to make himself feel better of his traumas. And I think that's why a lot of them do that. Of course, there's nothing, it's completely wrong. Those things are crazy. You can't be doing stuff like that. But as we talk about his growing up, that's the thing where we got to cut the generational trauma. You have to make the effort to stop that line.
Yeah.
Now, Thomas, was he sort of like a loner in school? Like he didn't have many friends, or?
No, not really, because I think he feared so much that if he talked to anybody, his dad'd find out and beat the shit out of him. It's so hard, and he wasn't able to have relationships because he didn't know how. But the one thing his dad did do, it's the same thing with he beat the shit out of him, but as a police officer, his dad was, he did show him how to cover shit up. So, if it wasn't for that woman knowing that this makes sense and to turn him in, he'd probably keep going. Yeah. And the worst part is how he did at Florida was just off the campus there, just a little off to the side in the woods. He camped out.
Jeez.
He had a tent there, everything, and just watched how all these women were moving and planning out what he was going to do. And do you guys know Cindy Kaza and Steve Shippey?
Yes.
They did an episode where they actually went to where he camped out.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
The Dead Files episode.
Yeah, because Cindy Kaza is very good. But Steve Shippey, he was picking up some stuff that'll make your blood chill.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing the whole case.
Hey, Pam, thank you for watching, dear. I got something to show you that'll make your blood boil too. Yeah. The creepiness is all over this. Yeah. Okay, so in the middle there, first you'll see the years, okay, on the left, and then in the middle is Danny Rawling, the Gainesville Ripper, and on the right is the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. Yeah. And you can see raised in violent and oppressive household. Yep. Ramirez, father, Vietnam veteran. Mm-hmm. The other guy was a Korean vet, and they had so many parallels. It's terrifying, actually. Ramirez became a Satanist, and it was a little bit later that something similar has happened with Rawling, and I don't think a lot of people know that, but he did. His whole point, Rawling, was kind of in your face. Heck with mom and dad, heck with you. Same with Richard Ramirez. Yeah. Let me show you. Here's the supernatural part. Okay, so he had an alternate personality named Gemini, which was a demonic persona he said took him over during murders. And it helped him disassociate and not feel the guilt. Yeah. And, this is from a long-term psychological damage. Yeah. And spiritual confusion, right?
he said Gemini, but you guys, it was a feminine evil.
Ooh.
So that he said. That's very
Yeah.
rare for somebody to have a feminine evil on them to do these things. That's what makes it even more supernatural and interesting in this case.
Well, Gemini means
Yeah.
twin, so
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I mean, for him to come out and say that is, the psychological profile of him. Yeah, it's standard, but I think this guy goes so much deeper than a lot of the other serial killers we've talked about.
now I got a theory on that one, Thomas.
Sure.
I think the reason he picked the female because he chose that female evil side that he wanted his mother to be.
Yeah.
This was not.
Yeah. So, yeah, he needed his mother to stand up for him and his brother, and
Wow.
stand up for herself, but didn't happen. And
Can you read
Check out
Asia's
this-
comment, guys?
Yeah, Asia's got something really interesting. When he was being interviewed, now Asia wrote this for us, and she read this in a book about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So she's saying that when Rawling was being interviewed, he recounted that he broke into a woman's home, and she would not fight him back. She said, "You don't need to rape me. You can have me."
mhm.
So he spent the night, and she even cooked for him.
Yeah.
And wow. Wow,
Yeah, wow.
So
holy crap. I mean, this guy right here.
yeah, it just makes no sense,
Yeah.
the people that were around at
Crazy.
all times. And again, I've talked about you indirectly and directly come into contact with serial killers. What did I say? Like 33 times in your life?
33 times.
34 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this guy broke into my house,
Yeah.
I would probably
He was a
endanger
pretty
myself.
tall guy too. He was 6'3". So,
About my height. Yeah.
you can be
I can
pretty
assure
intimidating
you.
looking at that height.
Yeah.
But what was the other one? I think one of the on one of the second nights that he killed, he got back to the little tent area and realized I can't find my wallet. So he went back to the murder scene.
Gesundheit.
Yeah.
Salute.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Found his wallet. Got so mad that he screwed up. Because if his dad was around and said you screwed up, he probably beat the crap out of him.
Probably
So
wanna beat
in
the
his
crap out of
anger, what does he
himself.
do? What did he do? The woman was already dead, so he decided to decapitate her and then repose her. So and then he left.
Awesome.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
So he was pissed off at himself. Luckily, this poor girl had already passed. She didn't have to deal with that torture. But good
Yeah,
Lord.
but you think about it. Every little thing he did in life, he coughed wrong. He did that. How much of a perfectionist do you think this guy tried to be?
Oh,
Just unreal perfectionist. He was
Yeah.
anal.
Yeah. And for him to mess up and leave his wallet behind, he was probably so pissed at himself and just everything swirls and says, I'm just going to decapitate this already dead person and repose her to show how much more angry I am at what's happened in my life. And I'm going to show these people that did
Probably
this
a good
to me.
thing that anger caught him because it's probably saved somebody else from dying that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Asia's saying
was-
what she was talking about, the where he went in and spent the night, he said she must have touched a need for a nurturing like his mother.
Yeah.
A mother would.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing is that's the
sense.
survival. If you know something's going on, and Leah's talked about this on her episode of being victim, sometimes you have to give in and change the narrative. He wants you to do this, so you naturally do something opposite of what they need and what you recognize in them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
you
he's
can
tapping
always
in,
outsmart a maniac, always.
yeah.
Okay, so this research here says that Rowling was not very smart. He actually dropped out of high school.
Mhm.
He had real erratic behavior, poor academic performance, and he had a real hard time maintaining relationships. However, when it came to being a criminal, he carefully planned his crimes in spite of him dropping his wallet. He used disguises.
Yeah.
He was very stealth, and he had
Yeah.
the ability to cover his tracks. And then he would stage crime scenes in order to mislead investigators.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
again, it's like his dad. I told you, his dad maybe beat the crap out of him, but his dad taught him how to cover his tracks.
He was an artist,
Mhm.
and I would love to see what the heck he drew, but honestly, it's about like a Ramirez thing. It's very occult, very disturbing. And he would record confessions. He wrote poems and letters, and just wow, everything wow. This guy,
Yeah, this guy was quite.
he was a lot like BTK.
Yeah, he was a lot like everyone. Even when they interviewed him, he did have that fanboy thing of Bundy, just even killing in that same area or whatever, just being in Florida. He did. It was almost like he was doing this, but on top of it, he was worshiping some of these other people.
Yeah.
That were serial killers on top of it, and expounding on his own modus operandi of what he would do. So,
Yep.
and, yeah, nuts.
Definitely.
Completely. So,
Hey, here's your hero. My hero is Bundy, the BTK. Let's see, the
Ramirez.
the Ramirez. Throw in John Gacy for good measure. And
I know. Yeah. Maybe they should go back to his childhood house and see if there's anybody underneath the house or something.
No shit, huh? Backyard.
Oh my goodness.
Out in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts, but I forget what it was, but I know he was in the Air Force or whatever, but he tried to get into another military branch beforehand and didn't pass the testing.
Well,
So
see,
somehow he ended up in the Air Force.
Because you had to have Air Force is the only one you have to have a high school diploma. The
Yeah.
GED won't work, but the Army, the Navy, Marine Corps will take a GED. Air Force would not.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how he actually got into the Air Force to begin with.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just everything about this is strange and
Yeah.
Psychologically, we could compare him to a lot of different people, but yeah.
I can imagine like people that were in his basic training class and said, God, that dude was weird when we were in basic training. Then to come see him on the news one day, it's like, holy crap, he killed 8 people? I thought something was wrong with that boy.
Yeah, but you think about it, he went the way he was brought up, he probably had fear to try and have relationships with anybody, didn't know how.
Yeah.
Nowadays you would think, okay, what's going on? Is it psychological? Or sometimes there's people who have difficulty having relationships with for other situations. Like I know people that are on the spectrum have difficulty with certain things, but this guy was because of how he was brought up. This wasn't a genetic thing. This was done to him. So, but it is generational on top of it. It's a learned behavior from generation to generation. And just people out there, that's the thing that one of the specialties that I have, Stacia that's on, we do Leitreanna. We help people with generational trauma to stop that point, to break those chains for families to not continue on, to save the next few generations as they learn the positive behavior and put the negative behavior behind them. Try to change that, the DNA of the epigenetics and all that. So, and that's something that we do just as shaman. So, yeah. But it's important.
Yeah, it is important.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I see it. Okay, I see it now. Hold on, I'm coming. It's coming.
I want to see.
I know. All right. So remember we were saying, I can't imagine a woman saying, "Oh God, there's somebody in my house." Ooh, there's somebody in my house. Now, understand, I get where she's coming from. She's trying to gain control.
Yeah.
But this is the guy that she saw. Now he doesn't look so bad.
Yeah.
Okay. He's stressed because he's in court. He's incarcerated, but he's not a bad looking guy. I think that's why he was like, "Oh, I'm Bundy," because he was thinking, I'm going to be a good looking serial killer. I'm a serial killer. I must be like Bundy. I can be better than Bundy though. Here's some of his art.
Yeah. You could tell by that. It's that teetering on the darkness and all that, or in the darkness. But even with Bundy, there's people that survive or anything like that. they always talk about that look they had in their eyes. It's almost like that supernatural, demonic evil that's inside of them, that's learned over their generations or their upbringing, just comes out. You know, when the eyes just gloss over and they get that look. So, and I don't know. I don't know if they talk about anybody surviving except for his father, but his father was.
I think one lady did survive, maybe one of the co-eds I was reading.
But seeing that look in his eye, you know, that's the thing is when you see that look, one of two things is going to happen. That's the last thing you're going to see, or you're going to survive and be able to tell the story and do what we do right now, help people avoid that situation.
See, it makes me wonder, like, what caliber did he shoot his dad with that many times?
Yes.
Only thing I can think of is if it was a 9, if he'd put that many 9 slugs in somebody, he'd have been dead. If it had been 45s, he'd have been dead. I'm thinking probably 22 calibers.
Yeah,
I don't know what he had. You know, he had to. I don't know if he bought his own gun. I don't know if his dad left his service revolver there, which would have been a higher caliber. Most likely a millimeter. We're talking the late 80s, early 90s before he went out to Florida.
His dad would have used probably a 9mm at the time.
Yeah,
which would have been probably a Smith & Wesson or a Browning, or a Colt. Now that some of the Colts, some of them would have Colts. And
we're talking Louisiana, so they're more likely to have had 38s and all that. So
no, dude, I lived in Louisiana. They had same revolvers that every other cops had. Now, if you'd have talked about early 60s, 70s, all of them would have had 38 specials.
Yeah.
But after that, they were all using 9s and using automatic semi.
Gotta have them Colts. Gotta have the Colt. You know, Connecticut.
I love my Colts. I got 2 of them. I love to death.
Check this out.
Is he shot him. Right, and his father, once he survived, lost an ear and lost his eye. So.
I'm thinking he shot him with a 22 long rifle. Bullet, because you could. That's like getting a little bit more than a pellet gun if you shoot somebody with a 22.
Here's his father.
Yeah,
he looks like an ass.
He looks like Danny. Looks just like him.
Oh
yeah.
And that same look on his face. That's the look of a killer. The look of a killer. That's a look of
Oh crap! You're right. Look at that.
Look at that look. That's the look of a killer right there. So.
And she's clueless. Look at her.
Yep.
Oh, her soul is like gone right there.
But look at the distance between her and him in that family picture. Family picture says a lot. But Danny's up top, right? And the son that they really didn't talk about, if he was abused or not, is right on his dad. It's like, I'm attached to my dad.
Yeah.
There's the big V in
between. I would have thought the one on the right was Danny. I thought the one on the right was Danny.
No, Danny, I think is the. No, you're right.
Face. Look at the face, man, because that other face, we were talking about Cunningham earlier. Yeah, that's Richie Cunningham's older brother that lasted about 2 episodes and was gone.
No, you're probably right. They're probably like right on his dad, still looking for approval.
Look at him.
Look at it.
I know.
Yeah. God.
And looking at both those pictures,
what you can interpret in a picture about a family dynamic sometimes, if you really look at it. Now everybody's going to be going to their old pictures. Ooh, wonder what our family is.
We pick up energies. I pick up energies from the day that picture was taken. And I pick up the emotions that his dad had, that he had, his brother and his mother. His mother looked like she had her whole soul had just left her.
Gone, yeah.
It's like she had nothing left behind her.
They probably got beat with like, oh, I'm going to beat your ass because now I got to take this picture with you idiots. You know, that's kind of probably the mentality he had.
I'm going to throw this.
And I guarantee the mom was the one that said we need to have a family picture.
Yeah.
She said that. She set it up, I'm sure. Let's look at his signature in the picture. Okay, it's in the bottom corner.
Okay.
Do you see it at the bottom? All right. Very intense.
Barely, I can see it. Yes.
Very. I mean, it's gothic. It's dark.
It is dark, but it's not big. It's almost like he didn't kill with ego.
Right.
Yeah.
It was really a sick fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
God.
But really, I wonder, you look at that, the wolf cutting the head off, there's a lot that goes into a picture, especially when somebody is brought up that way. They really, with art, with music, people really put out their inner feelings and
Oh yes.
what
Oh
they're
yes.
about. So, and,
Do you think he was gay?
I don't.
The reason why I'm saying
I
that
don't.
is because Gemini,
Yeah.
being his alternate personality, and but the truth is, it probably came from The Exorcist 3. I mean, I think he probably
Yeah.
just picked it up from that. But that would definitely be something he would never be able to even think of saying in front of his family, mother or father. And the fact he was killing women that looked like his mom.
Yeah.
I don't pick up that. My gaydar don't pick up him.
No, I'm not.
That's why I'm
people
asking, because
I don't think
we're
he was.
talking. Dahmer was
Gacy was.
Herb Baumeister, which is one I know we'll talk about in the future. Gacy, back and forth with Gacy, that undertone. Yeah, there's a lot.
Highway killer in California.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Warnos was gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
think it's that struggle that we have. We have that struggle with the feminine side and the masculine side of how we grow up, how our parents treated us. There's nothing wrong with, if you like the same sex as you, but sometimes we always wonder, were we born that way, or because of our upbringing, is that what we're led to make us happy?
Well, if it makes you think any creepier, while Danny Rowling was on death row, he had as a girlfriend. Her name was Sandra London.
There you go
and she
again.
was a true crime author.
Crazy. They ought to have their own club, crazy ass bitch club, who likes psycho killers.
Well, look at her book. Look at the reviews on Amazon. And they say this woman that wrote this book was just as whacked as who she was writing about.
Well, she was engaged to another serial killer before him, Gwen Rogers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yo, we're just gonna start a club. You like serial killers? We're gonna have our own dating service and make money off of these.
You know what? I think this writer is the joke. Taylor Swift dates somebody and then writes a song about them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Serial killers to write a book and then gets rid of them after they get
That's
put
what
in the
I'm
electric chair or whatever. So
I swear to God, we ought to start our own dating service for serial killers and stupid ass women that want to date them.
Or the other way around.
wait a minute.
Charge them an exorbitant amount of
money. There was the
money.
men that really wanted to get to know Eileen Wuornos when she was in jail. So, yeah, it goes both ways.
Dude, we'll put them. We'll have a category for them too. Hey, why not?
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Didn't he get married in jail?
No, he was only married once and had a daughter. That was before he started the real killings and all
I
that.
swear to you, I read up on it that after he died, or was that somebody was given, he had sent somebody a letter that said admitted to stuff he did.
Well,
I swear,
a lot of
maybe it
people
wasn't
thought she was. A lot of people thought that they were married, but they were not, and it came out later that they were never legally married.
He could have did one of those things. The president said, "Okay, you're my wife now," and that considered marriage.
Oh, they would have believed it. Yeah.
But no, I don't think you could do common law if one person's in jail and the other person isn't. So I don't think it works that way.
You could claim, "Hey, okay, I marry you in jail," and in her mind and his mind, they were married without benefit.
Well, they both whacked out. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Crazy ass people.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You guys can maybe help me with this. I know that if a serial killer writes a book or a movie's made or whatever, they cannot make any
it goes
money off it. It goes to the victim, right? So if he's not married to her and she writes a book, does she get to keep all the money?
She does because she's an individual private citizen. It's no different than us four wrote a book on Bundy or Ramirez or something like that, Ramirez and Bundy would not get a cent of the money. We would get
all the can't profit off it. The law is the David Berkowitz law.
Yeah,
that's where it started. So
so that means that would be a very big motivation for her. Hey, he's incarcerated. He's going to be controlled. I can do conjugal visits every now and then, but I want the full scoop.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make all the money off of it.
Why not? You sell that thing on Amazon, make a buttload of money. Some movie company picks up as a script. They pay you a buttload of money. You made a bunch of money. You slept with the dude 2 times, and you're sitting on Easy Street.
But go look at the reviews. The reviews are terrible.
I bet they are.
Yeah.
Check out the cover.
Like 1 star. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay. Yo, did somebody in kindergarten do this book? Because that looks like some doodling a kindergartner would do.
Yeah.
What in the holy hell?
Hence the 1-star reviews.
Good grief.
Somebody gave her a 1 star?
Yeah.
Dude,
she got a bunch of 1 stars.
No, dude, she would have got like those little things you got in kindergarten with a little circle around it.
Yeah.
F, big circles around it. That's what she'd have got.
F
minus. She would have got a star. F minus.
Yeah, like the teacher from what was it, the Christmas Story?
Story. C plus.
Yeah.
F minus.
Yeah.
Minus again.
Yeah. Daniel was in prison and he earned himself a leg lamp for Julia.
Yeah. In her book, she had his poems and songs and drawings he did. And then he goes into describing the murders from his point of view. He talks about his childhood. So, I mean, she had the full scoop. It's just nobody gave a crap.
Well, his mother, when he was in court, actually did a video because she had cancer at the time and talking about his abuse growing up and all that and what, she's like the old pleading to them that I tried to get him out. No, when your kids are in jeopardy and all that, that's your blood. I know that's your husband and all that, but the thing is I think God would want you, no matter what your religion is, to take them away from the abuse and the evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know the marriage is very important to work through things, but when somebody is like that and doesn't want to change, you need to get them away from that.
They get to get out of that mindset. Look, okay, if this is hazardous to you and your children, there's the door. Get the hell out. Yeah. Don't come back.
I pretty much, God will guarantee that he's not going to be mad at you if you leave that situation.
Well, no, he's probably pushing you out the door himself going,
I approve this. He was trying to make her do that, and she kept stopped listening to her higher power too at the same time.
That's when that evil spirit got in her mind and says, you got to go back to your husband. You got to go back. Forgive him. Screw that.
You got to get back to your husband and keep abusing his kid so I could use him later on in life to kill all these people.
I'm sorry. Ain't no relationship worth all that bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Just people out there and all that. I know it's hard, but, look it up. There's shelters to go to that they're going to help you get through psychologically. If your husband or wife is beating the shit out of your kids or anything like that, it isn't always the husband's doing it. It is the wives sometimes too. There's equal parts in marriages like that where both sides are abusive. Even some of the mothers, the mommy dearest situation and stuff like that. It's all the same. Get them out of that situation if you can. So, that's what I beg of people, because look what we're talking about. She didn't do that for her son. No. If she did, would he developed into killing those people? I don't know, because the abuse was done early.
We don't know all what manifestations his dad had put on him, even after they had left and came back. Yeah, that's stuff that you never forget. It's like, you remember that ass whooping? Okay, I didn't cut the grass right. I got my head split open. My dad punched me right between the eyes. Yeah, you don't forget. That's the hard part. You get abused like that from day one, like he did. Coming out of the womb, he was abused. And you're abused like that all the way up to the point where you start
putting into critical thinking of what your life is, and that's all you know, you're messed. You're. I don't want to say the F word, but yeah, you're pretty much proverbial. Your life is
the F
that.
word.
You're
the F word. Yeah.
You're fagunked. How
There
about
you go.
that?
Yep.
All right, guys, it's almost time. Who we doing next week?
Yeah.
I have one I want.
Yes.
Okay.
But I wanted to talk to you guys first because
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. Okay. We've been talking about men, serial killers. Then we got on to women. And but I've been watching a thing. It's a bit scary, and it's about children serial killers.
That will be interesting.
Okay. So I actually have one in mind. Hold on, let me get his name. I was looking this up, and just give me a second. Because Craig Price.
Let's do that one.
Okay, he killed 4 people. He killed 4 people, including 2 children. I don't want to get into all of the this and that, but I will send it to you in our group chat.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
And but interestingly, whenever you talk about children serial killers, you have to look at the history of abuse, of course.
Yeah.
What was the escalating thing? What was, that trigger that caused them to do this? But you also have to look at predisposition.
Yeah.
And that's what's
These are the ones, the bad seed, born with it. Who was the other one? 9 years old. It was the youngest serial killer. Was in India. So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's another one right there. You had to have been born that way. That's where the argument comes in. They were born that way. Yeah.
He come out the womb like the devil of hell on fire. Jeez.
Well, like I said, critical thinking is when you're born all the way up to probably around the age of 7. For this kid to start killing people at 9, it's really, what have you developed that thought process yet to be able to have the need to do that? So that's almost like you had to have been born that way. And crazy how the mind
here
works.
It is.
Oh, there we go.
13 years old, killed a neighbor. 15, he killed an entire family.
Yeah.
And then it was biting and stabbing. And even though he confessed, he couldn't be sentenced to life because of his age.
Yeah.
So
we should talk about a few of them. We should all have our own child one.
Let's do that.
And then we could all share it, like our thoughts about, each of us will have one and we'll talk about it together. And then maybe we'll compare and contrast of why these children did what they did.
Bye, y'all. See you next week. I'm out of here.
Bye, Blaine.
Bye, Blaine.
Have a good one.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan.
It's probably a good idea. You could have Craig, because you've already been doing the research on it. I think I'd really like to look in the kid from India. And then there's other ones. There's another girl that was a serial killer per se. And then I think as she got older, some things changed. I forget who that was, but research your favorite one, and we'll all have a time to talk about our particular one.
Thank you, Kathy. Kathy said great show. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
You. I do have one slide left, the summary.
Nice.
Okay. The rage, ritual, and ruin, basically. This abuse was the spark. Mental illness and spiritual delusion, where, the demonic entity, Gemini, guided him. And Ramirez openly declared himself as a servant of Satan. So there's another connection. And then staging, posing, and theatrics. Ramirez drew pentagrams on stuff, and Rawlings doing this posing and decapitation, staging.
Yeah.
So both of them had the need for power over fear.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd throw that one out there. We had a few minutes left. Thank you guys for watching. And next week we'll be doing
can I mention something?
Children, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lee and I and Matt and Blaine, Tom, we wish you'd come with us, are going to Deep South Paracon in Ozark, Alabama. And recently, in the last couple of days, the people that are over this putting it on have said, hey, will you guys give a ticket away a week? And we were like, or something like that. I can't remember exactly how many. Lee, help me out here. So what we're going to do is say, hey, in the next few days, anybody that messages us, comments on the show, we're going to put, about the ticket, just say something like Deep South is awesome. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
We're going to run a little thing if it's okay with Lee.
Yes.
We'll put their names in a hat and we'll draw them out and do it the next week.
There you go. Yes. That's a great idea.
We're gonna give them away.
So just mention Deep South. We'll put your name in the pot. We'll do some drawings.
Absolutely. Sorry about that, Tom. But Connecticut, we love Connecticut. It's coming up. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Yeah,
we're all going to be together. The energies of the universe are converging on Connecticut, July 12th and 13th. There's a lot of guests that are going to be there. So there's going to be at least one person you're dying to go see, especially Butch Patrick.
He's teasing me. He knows who I want to talk to.
Yeah.
I want 20 minutes in a room, just me and him saying, just talking like real people.
Yeah.
That's my Christmas wish list, John.
I don't know if John will be creeped out by that though.
Well, it's not
Why does the serial killer producer want to talk to me for 20 minutes in a room by yourself?
He's like, oh no, Tom. Oh no. No, you know what? He has so much time and wisdom and he's respected. I
love every minute I get to talk to him. And the Ohio weekend, we just sat and we talked about stuff. This guy has so much knowledge and
that's what I want to do.
But just the past of there's things that he talked about with Ed Warren that a lot of people didn't know that what Ed Warren went up against. And it's amazing to get that feedback that you don't see on TV, the private talk to really show what people really are.
That's what I need.
And all that. And John Zaffis is as real as it gets. So.
That'd be awesome. Well, even if I get to meet
my time and my friendship with them, and I know you guys do too. So, yeah.
Well, it's going to be awesome. I hope everybody that can come to Connecticut does. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. And you'll get to see all of us.
Yeah, and you get to see Eddie Munster.
Yes,
everybody loves Eddie Munster.
Yeah, bring your Wolfie doll to get autographed or.
I've been trying to find one. I can't
get
find
your memorabilia. I think everybody coming to Connecticut sold them all out, so they all have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it should be exciting, and there's something for everybody, and just like the one you guys are doing at the Ozark, there's going to be something for everybody. So a lot of good cons coming up, and we like to give our time to everybody coming and that wants to learn about the paranormal or true crime or anything in the right way. We're there for you, and it's always exciting. We always have a good laugh. So, and just because we're some people that I know, my friends, you see them serious on TV, you could talk to them and have a good laugh with them too. And we want to make sure we provide that for you. So don't feel intimidated. So,
Oh, it's going to be a great summer.
Yeah.
It is going to be a great summer.
Great summer.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's our time. Everybody, thank you so much for watching Serial Killers, Supernatural, and Murders. Next week, we'll be talking about killer children. What created them? What made them that way?
Yeah.
We'll see if we can crack the code.
It's going to be interesting.
If you have any questions, don't forget Deep South. Mention it on All Access Network. Your name will go in the pot. You'll be able to win a ticket. Thank you.
Good night.